The Edmonton Oilers officially announced their new signings in a way to bolster their depth coming straight out of Europe. We will cover all of those today on Oilers Digest. But first, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, folks, make sure you do so, as 76% of you have not yet subscribed. If you haven't hit that big red button down below, folks, make sure you hit it for any and all Oiler content. Of course, we're gearing up for the Stanley Cup playoffs, but we have some signings to announce. Signing on the dotted line, yes, the Edmonton Oilers made some free agent signings, some European free agent signings, of course. Oiler analyst Bob Stauffer alluded to some potential college free agent signings. We saw that with Damien Carfagna yesterday, and now two big European signings. Of course, last week we had a video on the channel about Josh Samanski and the German newspaper Bild saying that he will come to Edmonton to become Draisaitl's teammate again. What a headline. I mean, Samanski becomes Draisaitl's teammate instead of going to Edmonton. But it is official. The Oilers signed German forward Josh Samanski. The 6'5" centerman scored 40 points in 52 games this season with the DEL's Straubing Tigers. Of course, he had a contract with the Ice Baron Berlin in the DEL, but he had a clause in his contract that allowed for an NHL exit, and he will be coming over with the Oilers organization. It's not too sure if he'll start with the Oilers or if he will go down to Bakersfield. I mean, Bakersfield, they are needing some bodies, and Josh Samanski would help them tremendously in that way. But it all depends on how he performs at training camp. But when it comes to Josh Samanski, I mean, he's a big boy for his age, 6'5", a little lighter, 189 there, but he did play his junior hockey in Canada there, of course, with the OJHL there with the Brantford 99ers and the Milton Icehawks before heading into the OHL with the Owen Sound Attack with 20 points in 54 games before heading back over to Germany with Ravensburg and then Straubing, and then 7 games there with Landshut EV before 3 straight seasons with the Straubing Tigers there. You can see, again, in his most recent season, 40 points in 57 games while adding on another 4 points in 6 playoff games, as unfortunately Straubing was eliminated by his future, in quotation marks, team, the Berlin Ice Bears, Ice Bear in Berlin, in Germany there. But also Samanski does have some experience playing at Rogers Place there. You can see there at the bottom with the tournaments, the 2021 and 2022 World Junior Hockey Championships, which were both in Alberta there. So he's got some familiarity with that Oiler ice. But, from McKeen's Hockey, a little bit of a scouting report on Samanski. We already thought he'd be a player the NHL would take into consideration last summer after he arrived as a bona fide middle six forward at the ripe age of 21. Now he's taken things to a whole new level. A very big boy who uses his size well to gain, protect, in battle for pucks. Samanski's done nothing but show continual bursts of speed, silky mitts, and a keen sense of creating and finishing all season long. Of course, those bigger players, it takes some time for them to sort of grow into the player that they are. Of course, they seem a little lost, or with their development. You can see there with Quentin Byfield with the LA Kings, bulldozed everybody in the junior league there, and of course it took him a few years to really get used to the NHL way, the North American way, and so hopefully for Samanski he adapts very quickly. Of course, he does have some experience with, like I said, the OJHL and the OHL there. Did play his junior hockey in Canada, but that was quite some time ago. But again, more depth does not hurt, especially for the Oilers and the way they have their draft picks. I mean, only 3 draft picks in this current draft, and Stan Bowman was very creative when it came to European and college free agents in Chicago there, his previous team. Of course, Artemi Panarin, Kevin Lankinen, Pius Suter. The list goes on and on about the players that he brought over to Chicago to sort of, work around the fact that, Chicago at that time really had no assets as he traded them all away. But Jim Matheson here, interesting. Hearing Leon Draisaitl playing, he played salesman, pitching 6'5" left shot German C. Josh Samanski, 23, on signing with the Oilers after 4 years, of course, with the Straubing Tigers. No guarantee he makes the Oilers in the fall, but the size in stats are intriguing. Now we will take a look into someone who will probably make the Oilers main roster next year that the Oilers also signed this afternoon. The Oilers have signed 24-25 Swedish Hockey League scoring leader David Tomasek to a 1-year, $1.2 million contract for the 2025-26 season. Of course, Tomasek, of course, leading scorer in the Swedish Hockey League. as you can see there, 57 points in the previous season there with Farlstad, but he's been around the block here in the European game. Of course, he played his junior hockey. Same with Samanski in the OHL there, but he played for the former Belleville Bulls before heading back to his home of Czechia there with Pardubice, going to Finland, heading back to Czechia, going to the KHL for a season, and then 2 years with Sparta Praha, and then the Swedish league with Färjestad. So of course he's been around the block there for quite some time. But very intriguing stats. 29 years old, so a little bit on the older side compared to Samanski, who is 23. But I mean, 57 points in 47 games for Tomasek there. A little over a point per game, leading the SHL. Of course, you can see there in fourth place, Jakob Silverberg, former NHLer there. So, of course, that's some decent company to be alongside Tomasek. Now, it's very intriguing. Of course, 29 years old, hasn't played in North America in nearly 10 years. So, of course, it's a low risk but high reward here for Tomasek, especially where he would slot in the Oilers next season. But he doesn't regret moving on to the NHL game. I've been given the opportunity to fulfill a dream that I would regret for the rest of my life if I didn't take. That's also what I've learned from others who have done something similar, that you will regret it if you don't take the chance. It's not so much about the money. Everyone already knows that you earn better over there, but it's more about the challenge of being able to compete with the best players in the world. So it's very optimistic here from David when it comes to, not just mailing it in once you get a paycheck. You want to be able to, prove to yourself that, hey, you can play with the best in the world on the NHL stage. And that's exactly the type of fiery, hungry player the Edmonton Oilers will need in their bottom six next year. Now, from Blue Bullet Brad here on Twitter, fantastic analytics guy here, but he broke down David Tomasek in his league rank for, some important stats there. Of course, third in goals there with 24, first in assists with 33, first in primary assists with 25. So, of course, offensive, he's an offensive-minded player. Of course, down there you can see the face-off percentage, 57.9, so he can win some key face-offs, which will be good in that bottom six. Of course, the fourth-line center role has just been a revolving door. Nobody's been able to really take it for their own with the Oilers this season. Hopefully, he can do that next season and sort of give the Oilers, just a more structured, bona fide lineup instead of Kris Knoblauch throwing the lines into a blender each and every game to try and get some sort of chemistry. Who knows what he is doing? But from Scott Wheeler here, one of the better players in Europe over the last couple of years. Good side center who is produced at the top of the SHL, but is also really reliable defensively, excellent in the faceoff circle, like I just mentioned. Draw play, competitive, should add to the Oilers' depth down the middle. Just taking a look at the season, the roster, I should say, for this season, and maybe it will look completely different next season. There you can see Josh Samanski at the bottom of the center depth chart there, but of course, a lot of question marks around that center spot there with Adam Henrique. Who knows what will happen with him after this season? Trent Frederick, if the Oilers will be able to re-sign him on July 1st when he comes a free agent. Derek Ryan will probably retire, and then Noah Phillip, who was up for 12 games with the Oilers this year, but again wasn't able to grab that fourth line center role for himself. So it'll be good for that competition for the bottom six role, either the fourth or third line center. If they roll with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins as the third line center, who knows? But again, more depth, the better here for the Edmonton Oilers. Like I mentioned, of course, lack of draft picks, and then the assets that they do have, they would probably want to package that for a much better player here. But the Oilers of the future, we also got to worry about the Oilers of today, as the Oilers still in that standings battle here with the LA Kings in the Vegas Golden Knights, as the Oilers will take on the San Jose Sharks tomorrow night. We will have a game preview for that before taking on the Los Angeles Kings Saturday, April 5th at 3 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Mountain. Should be a playoff preview. Not only that game, but April 14th against the LA Kings. That is Edmonton's last home game before the end of the season. So still lots to be done, not just on the ice, but also in the Oilers war room room there when it comes to trying to build their roster for next year. But that is it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the 2 signings for the Oilers. Do you like it? Do you hate it? If you watch any of the Swedish league, tell me what you think of David Tomasek. I'm very interested to see what kind of player he exactly is. I'm going to just find some highlights for myself right after this. But folks, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. I'm Matt.